Short while ago I done an opening and I was pleasantly disappointed in that I was sent the wrong item. Subsequently I reordered the item and I've had it come through. So we're going to open it up and take a look at whether this is the correct item this time around. Let's get into this box. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this opening. So that item that I speak of, that I had the wrong item for a week ago, or however long it was this item here. This DC multiverse figure of the Eradicator from the Death of Superman. Well, the Return of Superman's one of the storylines that comes after, that sees 4 characters replace Superman and his identity, one of them being the Eradicator. This is a variant, and I received this, so I was kind of pleasantly disappointed in receiving the wrong item, because it's a rarity, or more of a rarity than the standard release. Probably goes for a little bit more money now, blah blah blah. I can sell it on. I am in two minds about selling this one, actually. We'll see what happens with that. I'll make a decision. But the reason I wanted the normal one is because I want to open it. I want to open it and display it, because I have Cyborg Superman, I have John Henry Irons Steel Superman. I wanted this. Well, imagine if it is another one of them. But is it or isn't it? We shall find out. So we are actually going to open this one. I am going to open the figure up. Well, that's the back of the box. Let's take a look. And yes, it is the correct figure this time around. Lovely. Look, there's the Eradicator Superman. Here's the box. Let's have a quick look at the box, shall we? Because the box is going to go in the bin. The Return of Superman. So 1993, we had the Death of Superman storyline, followed up by The Funeral for a Friend, then followed by the Return of Superman, like I said, where these 4 other Supermen came about. One was Superboy, who was a clone of Superman. One was the Eradicator, which is a Kryptonian AI, which is instilled in keeping Krypton's heritage alive, so to speak, and he took on the mantle of Superman. Another was Cyborg Superman, who, spoiler alert, turned out to be the baddie of the piece. And another was a black fella by the name of John Henry Irons, who donned a metallic suit, which was famously or infamously turned into a film starring Shaquille O'Neal. No Superman link to that film whatsoever, but yeah, it's a shame. I'd like to see Steel again in live action. I'm not talking about Steel from, you know, the Superman and Lois TV show. I'm talking about proper how he looks, you know. But let's take a look first, because I need to get these out. There's a couple of bits in here. I want the stand out, obviously, and I want the trading card out. And then we'll get that figure displayed. So we have the standard DC stand there, figure stand, and the trading card. Now with the trading card, I like to keep these, but what I do is I generally put them into a relevant film case. So in this case it will be the Death of Superman, or the Return of Superman animated movie that was done. That will go in there. So yes. Okay, let's take a look at this figure. Let's get these, I've got to get these bits off, the little things that tie in. So bear with me. So Death of Superman is one of those comics that stayed with me. You know, I was there when it happened. It was a huge deal. So much so that it's kind of, comics kind of rely on that sort of thing now all the time. Ever since that, they sort of stunts. So you could say it kind of changed the direction of the comic book industry to a degree. You know, I mean, they did follow up with a Batman one called Nightfall, which is where Bane broke the back of Batman. I think that was 94. And obviously that was utilised in Dark Knight Rises, that story plot point. So let's get this little beauty out. So much noise. So noisy getting this out, it really is. But here we go. Here we have him in all his glory. There we go. He's got a couple of clenched fists, which we do have hands, other hands. Obviously, his head turns. It turns at the wrist, turns at the arm joints, all that. I mean, there's a lot of articulation to these McFarlane figures. Chest, waist, legs, top of the legs, knee joints, knee joint, top and lower, feet articulate. So it's quite an articulate figure. Yeah, it's quite nice. I like the cape flows off to one side, as you can see. I quite like that figure. I wasn't sure on this figure. It looks a bit stocky, a bit sort of, you know, but yeah, that's quite a nice figure, actually. You know, I don't know what pose to put him in other than the pose he's currently stood in, to be honest. Sort of, I suppose, landing sort of pose, I suppose. You know, coming down to land or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's quite good. That's quite good. I like that. Although he's top heavy. Stood like that, he is top heavy and he's tilting over. He's topping that base over. So I'm going to have to figure out a pose for him that is decent and relevant, I suppose. But we have the figure there. And like I said, we do have 2 additional hands for him, which, let me get out. Underneath sellotape, they shouldn't be that difficult to get out, but I don't know, they are proving. And dropped one. So there's one hand there, more of an open kind of hand. I might change the hands up as well to have one open, one fist. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I quite like that figure. I quite like that figure. I know I have like I said, I do have a Cyborg Superman, but it is the the 52 Superman, new 52 from that story reign, and not the one from the actual return of, and that's one that I do want to get as well. I won't mind doing a Superboy as well, so that I get all 4. But there we go, the right figure this time around, and there we go. So I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye.